So in my last couple of videos, you've seen me get a zip drive working on my Mac Plus. You've seen me getting that to boot. You've seen 2 iterations of using a modern mouse on a Mac. And I did tease you a couple of videos ago with showing you what was on the zip drive that I downloaded. But before I get to that, I think it's about time I addressed the elephant in the room, which is the keyboard. I say the elephant in the room because these Macs had a specific keyboard and it had like a phone connector on it. A little bit later on, there were keyboards which had like a DIN connector on, which had looked a bit more like ps2 connectors that you might have seen and I mentioned previously. And they were called Apple Desktop Bus. And of course, now you can use a USB keyboard on a Mac. Annoyingly, I sold one of the keyboards that were just for this Mac Plus a while ago. I had one in my collection, no idea where from. I've never owned a Mac Plus. And I sold it on eBay for a great profit, and now I need one. But as you can see, they're not cheap. So anyway, I thought of maybe because I was able to do it with the mouse, maybe there's a way that I can use a modern keyboard as a replacement. And although I couldn't find a way to use a modern USB keyboard, I did find this GitHub. But this allows you to plug a Mac Plus into a PS2 keyboard. So I'd need to get some of the components for it, but some of these I had already. And what you do, you put an Arduino in the middle of it. So there's an Arduino, you've got a PS2 socket on one side, and what looks to me like a modem socket, RJ11 socket on the other side. And it's just a simple wiring and downloading the sketch and putting it on the Arduino. So here's my Arduino. I've actually put the sketch on it that I downloaded. I'm not going to go through that. Somebody else has written that. You can look at the GitHub, which I'll link below if you want to play about with that, or if you just want to install it. But there's also this nice wiring diagram that we've got as well. So I've started to wire this up and I'm really having difficulty. I've got these RJ11 plugs. I'm not really having much fun wiring onto that. The great thing is though, these PS2 connectors are a lot more common. I bought a load of those a while back for another project. But I found that there's also, and this is off the other project, this is a little breakout board that allows you to wire directly to that. So that was quite easy to solder onto there, but this is a bit of a pig, as you can see. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do like I did with the Mac mouse, and I'm going to use this here, and I'm going to try and create a PCB, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so this isn't going to take very long to design on JLC PCB. So let's start by looking at the library. And I want to look for an Arduino. It's a Nano, isn't it? So hopefully we'll easily find a Nano in here. I always look when I'm going through them, if they don't have this bit, they don't have the bit down there, I don't like them. So I like to check first whether it looks right. That looks right. Is the one with a better picture? That looks the same as this. Yep, I think that will do. So let's place that. That's quite easy. All right. Now let's go to the library again, and this time I want RJ. I would use the adapter, the socket. So it's, what is it? It's RJ11. Let's have a look for some of those. I mean, that looks right straight away. That's it, isn't it? There you go. So let's place that on there. Only 4 things in there, but that's fine. Although, hang on, let me just check that a minute. Go back again. RJ11 just goes 1 2 3 4, and we've got 1 2 3 4 on this as well, so it should be okay. So let's place that on. And then the other thing we've got is a PS2 keyboard. Let's do place, library, and PS2 keyboard socket. Right, that's it. Yeah, so clock shield data, VCC. Yeah, that looks all fine. So let's take that one. And I always check the underside of the plug to see whether it's like that first, but we know this is right. Okay, so we're not really going to have a lot on this, are we? It's literally going to be that, because we're just replicating this. So let's go through this bit by bit now and see what we've got to join up. This is the ps2, so let's start with this. Okay, so the red, so VCC, that's going to be plus 5 volts, has got to go to 5 volts on here. So 5 volts is of course over the other side. So this is the 5 volts. So let's go from that, bring it around there to there. All right. Then the green one is plus data. That goes to digital 3. Digital 3 goes to data. All right. Then the plus clock goes to digital 2. So there we've got the clock, go to there, move up to there, and digital 2. So then the final bit is the ground. So the ground goes to ground. There's a couple of grounds, isn't there? So let's take it around the back. Ground. Okay, so that's that side of it wired up, no problem. And now let's go to the other side. So we want another ground. That happens to be, well, let's move this over a little bit. Let's just select that and flip it around the other way and do it from there. Number 1 was ground, so you can take that up to there and to the ground there. Then the next one was number 2, went to data 6. So that's going to go all the way around again. So all right, then the data, which is number 3, data goes to digital 5, which is very much in the same place. Let's go around here, across there, up there, digital 5. And then what was number 4 is the voltage, VCC. So that goes to that goes to voltage in. So of course we're taking the power from the Mac to power the Arduino here. Voltage in. Okay, done. As simple as that. So let's save that. And let's go to convert to PCB. So with these boards, I always like to start with in fact I'll start down this end, start with the USB towards the edge. So there's going to be no problem plugging into that. Not that I think we have to do that on this occasion. Now we want both of these connectors. All right, so this is the keyboard. So I probably need to flip this around, just rotate that. If I rotate that as well, we could have them both coming out of the end. Not sure I like that. I know what I'll do. I have one going one way, one going the other way. So that goes that way. And then this one goes, hang on, which way is this going? I've got confused now. That's the back of the plug. Okay, so I need to turn that around again. Yeah, so that will go there to the Mac. And oh, in fact, that would probably work. Yeah, so the Mac wire goes across there, and the keyboard plugs in at the back. All right, so quite like to, let's bring that forward a little bit, and for neatness, let's pop that in the center. Now let's sort out this board outline, which I always hate doing. I always fiddle with these for so much before I send them off. What's going on there? That one's gone funny. Oh, it's all disconnected now, but that'll do. And go to board outline again. Board outline, and do round rectangular. Put the radius of, let's do 5 again. All right, so that's given me the board. That radius is too much, isn't it? Let's set that to 3. Okay, then don't forget we need to write some things on there. I'll probably put a little icon of a Mac and a keyboard on there. Probably write Arduino across there, and put my SpiderMaf Industries text on it and come up with a silly name for it. But I mustn't just forget to do the auto route. So run that. There we go. And I always like to look at the 3D as well, just to give me an idea whether it's okay. This is nice because it shows where the plugs are as well, so that's a good one. So you see, I should be able to get that plug in from that way. It's funny we've got the plug and not got the other bits. Pity we haven't got the ps2 thing on there. It must just depend on where I get the part from. But yeah, so I will. I'm going to do this one white again. Can we do white on here? Yeah. So I'll get this sorted. I'll get all my stuff on it. I'll probably still fiddle with it and move it around a bit, and then we'll see what turns up in the post. So here we go. Here's my PCB. You might note that this is version 2 of the board. I don't really want to talk about that. But anyway, let's see how I can put these ps2 connector in there. It looks like, yeah, that's quite straightforward. I'll solder those up. This should slot in, but I'm going to put a header in for that. But I might be able to test it just by pushing it in. I like it when I can do this, but it doesn't always work, and you're never quite sure if something doesn't work that it's just because the connections aren't there. But that might work, you never know. And then I need to get one of these RJ11s. Now, regarding the cable, I also had a cable with the Apple keyboard that I sold ages ago, a curly cable. And the curly cables, of course, are about, well, are stupid prices. But looking at this connector, it looks like the modem or the phone connector. Remember, on our landline, there's a curly cable that plugs in that goes between the phone and the handset. And looking at the instructions, this only uses 4 pins on it. So maybe the handset cable will do. So I found one of them to buy on eBay, not much money. And I've got one of those now to test with this. So if I didn't have that, I was going to hack a modem cable from some of my old broadband modems and solder that directly to the board. But because I had a couple of these, I thought I'd use these. So hopefully that will go in too. Lovely. So let's solder those in, and I might solder some headers in for that as well, but I'll try it without the headers first and see what happens. Let's get those soldered in and see what we can do. Put some flux on it first. Just solder one down first, and then I can push the board to make it level. Just push that component in again and do it again. That's it, it just went in a teeny bit. Oops. And do the same for this ps2 connector as well. And now I've got those in and level, I can do the other connectors. Okay, that looks quite neat. So once the IPA has gone off there, let's try it with the Mac and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Let's try this then. In many ways, I shouldn't do this while it's turned on, but okay, so the mouse is still working. That's good. Although I haven't plugged anything else in next. So the next test is when I plug this in, will the light up? Then we know power is going to the Arduino. That looks promising. And let's plug the PS2 keyboard in. All right, and let's find something to use. So all Alright, the easiest thing to do is teach text. And yes, excellent. Right, so well, shift works, the numbers work, spacebar works, return works, cursor keys work to an extent. Yeah, they work. So that's lovely. We've got a working modernish keyboard, a working modernish mouse, and so a working vintage Mac. I'm not releasing the Gerber file to this V2 yet because no, I think what happens with this quite a lot is when you just pick a random library file for this, the numbers are on it different, or they view the numbers a different way, maybe the mirror image or something like that, or maybe I picked up a mouse wiring as opposed to a keyboard wiring, but it works and it's quite neat, and the Uno translation is really good. It's still a prototype, just got to fix the botch. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you're not already. Bye. Thank you very much.